And you have to dig really deep to get a bunch of all those flavors.
Yeah.
But to me, that would be like the epitome of an Ashley Hansen snowball.
That's the Ashley Hansen.
Yeah.
I care about what happens to this city. I care about what happens to this region. I'm a native New Orleanian, as are you, and we care.
All right, our featured guest this week is someone helping shape the future of Greater New Orleans every single day through business, civic leadership, and economic development. From workforce initiatives to regional growth and major events like Super Bowl 59, Kim Boyle has played an important role in many of the conversations driving our region forward. She currently serves as chair of Greater New Orleans, Inc., while also practicing as a labor and employment attorney with Phelps Dunbar. Kim, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mark. I am thrilled to be here.
It's great to see you again. You serve as chair of GNO, Inc., as we refer to it. And you've been involved in so many civic initiatives across the region. For viewers who may not know, what is GNO, Inc.? What is the focus right now?
Okay, GNO, Inc. is basically the regional economic development nonprofit that really operates in a 10-parish region, which includes Jefferson, Orleans, St. Tammany, St. John, St. James. I'm leaving several out, but this local 10-parish region, and we are truly focused on regional cooperation and regional business development, regional business retention, but also creating the appropriate environment for businesses to be successful in this region.
Yeah, so what do you see as those areas of growth and development? What's on the horizon?
Well, really where we are now and what continues to be on the horizon, we're focused on energy transition. We're obviously focused on trade and logistics. As you know, Mark, based upon all of your work over the last few years, Louisiana International Terminal, that's the thing. We've got to be focused on that because bottom line is the Port of New Orleans will continue to lose business to competing ports in other areas unless we can get LIT actually done. So we're all in with the Louisiana International Terminal, and we are clearly focused upon entrepreneurship. It's not just about bringing businesses that already exist to this region, to New Orleans, to Jefferson Parish, but it's also about the incubation, building up businesses that are here, building up the moms and pops, building up family-owned businesses, putting in an environment where someone who just graduated with a business degree can start their own business and be successful in this region.
So is it an advocacy role? Are you at the legislature? What's the work that happens, the day-to-day work?
It's all that. It's all that. As you probably know, Mark, we are at the legislature right now. Jasmine Brown, who is our senior VP policy officer, is in Baton Rouge every day that the legislature meets. And we try to make sure there's certain things we don't officially come out and advocate for, but we try to work with the legislators to make sure that they're aware of our position on certain issues. Some things we do come out and advocate for as it relates to the infrastructure banking bill that just, I think, is going through the ranks as we talk about right now. The executive committee of GNO Inc. actually does a fly-in in Washington every September. So those of us who are able to do so, we fly up to D.C. and we try to meet with the members of the Louisiana delegation from a senatorial standpoint as well as from a House of Representatives standpoint to let them know these are the things that we believe are important for economic development and growth in the state of Louisiana and particularly in this region. And as you know, Mark, we have an excellent working relationship with the Louisiana Economic Development Agency in Baton Rouge. Susan Bourgeois, as you know, is a former chair of GNO Inc. Right. Rachel Shields works there, who worked at GNO Inc. for a number of years. So we work in collaboration with LED, and that has basically been extremely beneficial, we believe, for both organizations.
Yeah, and it's a people-centered organization.
Yes.
You've got some great talent.
We do.
On staff. You want to mention?
Well, starting with Michael Hecht. I mean, is there a better CEO? Is there a better CEO? Michael
better
is
advocate for the region.
Better
right?
advocate for the region. Michael is smart. He's focused, but he actually advocates for what's important in this region. And what's great about Michael is he's an excellent cheerleader on top of it. Anything that's great that goes on, he is telling the public about it. So he kind of does his GNO Inc. Sunday night highlights.
Yeah.
And that keeps all of us surprised as to all the great stuff going on in this region, because we think it's important for us, those of us who live here, to be positive about the great things going on, as opposed to sometimes we get a little negative. Let's focus on the positive so we can continue to improve.
Yeah, thank you for that. We hear for the phrase inclusive economic development a lot.
Yep.
What does that actually look like in practice for our region?
Well, bottom line is, I think inclusive economic development means that we want everyone to be successful. We want everyone to be prosperous. Rising tide lifts all boats. And I used this analogy when we spoke about it during the annual luncheon on February 27th. Bottom line is, I use Jazz Fest as the analogy. When we're at Jazz Fest, people of all types are hanging out together. You have CEOs hanging out with school teachers. You have people that drive buses hanging out with entrepreneurs. All races, all ethnicities, all ages, all professions. Everybody is hanging out and having a great time. That level of diversity and inclusion is what makes this region so great, as you know, Mark. That's who we are.
Right.
We are diverse. We are inclusive. So we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to benefit from economic prosperity. And I'll use a quote from Dr. Norman C. Francis. As you know, we lost Dr. Francis the day after Mardi Gras this year, but he was an iconic leader in every way possible. And he once said, we have to be able to make decisions about who needs certain things to live a life, go to school, or anything else that is a part of living. And I think that sums it up as to what we're talking about with inclusive economic development.
Dr. Francis, I'm so glad you quoted him. There's a specific example I want to speak to now. Super Bowl 59.
Yes.
You were very, very much involved, especially around supplier diversity and creating opportunities for local businesses. Why was that such an important focus, particularly for you?
Well, one, I was honored when Jay Cicero, who's the CEO of the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation, and I am honored to serve on that board and that executive committee, and Marcus Brown, who did an amazing job as chair of the host committee when they asked me to chair the source program or supplier diversity. That's something I believe in. I believe in racial diversity. I believe in ethnic diversity. I believe in economic diversity. But I also believe that our businesses who are in this region should have an opportunity to have an economic benefit when major events like the Super Bowl come to New Orleans or come to the state. So what was great about the Source program is businesses that were in that 10 parish region, kind of the same region that GNO Inc. covers, these businesses were able to participate in the program, apply, be certified. If they were selected to be a part of the program, then they went into a directory. And that means all of the top contractors were able to look at that directory as the source, hence source program, and say, you know what? I can get my floor arrangements from company A. I can get barricades and fences from company B. And these were local companies in this region who had an opportunity to perform on a worldwide stage. And they did. And they did an amazing job, Mark.
And instead of these companies coming from out of town to do this, we've got the resources, the assets here to make it happen.
We always have the resources and the assets. We have to stop thinking we can't compete with everyone. We put on the biggest shows in the world, and we do it seamlessly. Yeah. So we have to continue and remind ourselves of that every day. We are the best. We can do the best, and I'm proud of us.
And I think we're a sort of a role model for the NFL. But back in 2013, I believe, was another aspect of the diversity program.
Absolutely, when we had the Super Bowl before.
And you were involved back in those days as
I try to be involved. To be honest, Mark, I'm getting a little gray hair now. So as we move forward, I will probably not be as involved.
You've written the book.
I know, as we have been. But bottom line is, I care about what happens to this city. I care about what happens to this region. I'm a native New Orleanian, as are you, and we care.
Yeah, you have helped role model, I'll use that phrase again, about community leadership. You've really stepped up on so many areas of involvement in our region. How do we create more pathways for the next generation?
Well, first of all, I'm a huge believer in mentorship. I try to mentor on a day-to-day basis, not just at my law firm, but with young people that I work with in other organizations, or bluntly, young people who just call me out of the blue. They may see me speak somewhere, or they may meet me at a reception, a function, or whatever the case may be. I also try to speak every year at the Women's Leadership Academy. Our good friend Tanya Tetlow started that when she was president of Loyola University. So I speak every year there to kind of create opportunities for people to recognize we all are leaders and we all have the capacity to be leaders. But also, once we mentor younger people that are coming up, we also have to start getting out of their way. We can't just continue to occupy space as, Mark, you and I get a little bit more gray hair. These young people are talented, they're smart, they're aggressive, they know what they're doing. So we also have to start pulling, getting out of the way, and creating a path for them to step up and be the true leaders that they are.
That's a good thing for all of us to remember. Let's talk about you as a leader. You've been a trailblazer, Kim, in so many different things, in legal profession, civic leadership. What inspired you for serving like this?
I would probably say the main thing that inspired me for at least trying to serve are my parents. Similar to you, Mark, and I think you met my parents before they passed away. Yeah. I had the most amazing and phenomenal parents in the world. I'm a little biased, but not that biased. And my mother was a public school teacher for 30 years. Brilliant. My father was a postal clerk. But they really pushed my brother and I to accept the mantra of to whom much is given, much is expected. And we did not grow up with a lot of money, but we grew up in a loving household with encouragement, support, a focus on education from an entire family standpoint. And my parents truly believed, and I truly believe, that it takes a village. So I had support from everyone as I was coming up, and I believe I have an obligation to try to give a little bit of that back, maybe to some younger people who don't have necessarily the same support network. So I really believe in that.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you what's your favorite nonprofit that you've worked with, but that'd be like asking what's your favorite child, I know.
Yeah, it kind of would be. Now, right now, every nonprofit I work with is my favorite nonprofit. But and clearly GNO Inc. is always going to be at the top because of the impact that GNO Inc. has with the entire region.
Yeah, you're affecting so many lives.
Exactly.
Directly and indirectly. All right, I'd love to ask how you experience New Orleans. Now, we're going to get to the official New Orleans questionnaire shortly, but you're out and about in so many different things, but how does New Orleans come alive for you in the culture, the music, the restaurants? What's the Kim Boyle New Orleans like?
All of that. As I just told you before we started, Mark, I don't cook at all. Anybody who knows me.
Wait, you don't cook?
I don't cook, Mark. I don't even buy food that can be cooked. so I don't cook at all.
You're like a great restaurant patron, aren't you?
I eat out all the time, and that's one of the ways in which I'm able to stay close to my friends and hang out. We try different restaurants.
And feed the economy, too.
And feed the economy. I was just at Costera, Spanish restaurant on Britannia. On Friday night, I go to Houston's all the time. I go to Chapter 4 all the time. I go to Dickie Chase all the time. I like to try new restaurants. I was at Doris Metropolitan just this past week. So I eat out all the time, but I'm a huge music person, as you know, Mark. Yes. So I'm going to the Juvenile concert on Friday night.
All right.
I was at the Queen's concert, a week and a half ago. Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, Stephanie Mills,
I heard it was
Shaka Khan.
Quite the concert.
It was quite the concert. I was at Jazz Fest. So I went from the Eagles on Saturday, which was one of the hugest crowds I have seen. It looked like it might have come close to the Stones.
I saw some of the drone footage.
Yes.
It was amazing. It
was
like
amazing.
It spilled out over into Detillier Boulevard.
I think it was out on the street.
Yeah.
And remember, that's the first time I ever heard of the foundation cutting off selling tickets on Saturday, that last Saturday. I think they stopped selling tickets at like 2:30 or 3.
They reached their capacity.
They reached capacity. And of course, I was there for Earth, Wind, and Fire, the Elements of the Universe on Sunday. So I'm
That's your
all in
New
on the
Orleans.
music and the culture. I'm
Yeah.
all in, Mark.
365.
365, all day, every day.
I love it. You spend so much time focusing on the future of the region. What do you see right now that gives you that confidence for the future of the region and G&O Inc. and what it's doing?
Well, what I see right now, one, is a lot of optimism. And I think that people's feelings about where they live actually has a positive impact in moving us forward. So I see a lot of optimism. I see us continuing as we have always done, because I push back against the idea that we do not support our city and we do not support our region. You and I saw this after Katrina, how we as a region and city came together to rebuild when people were telling us we were not coming back.
Right.
We said we're coming back. I see that now. We want this region to be better. We want this region to be prosperous. I see us continuing to come together. You see a lot of the students that are graduating from our local universities. Tulane just had its graduation Saturday. Dillard and Xavier had its graduation on Mother's Day weekend. You see a lot of these kids saying, you know what? Instead of moving to DC, instead of moving to Chicago, instead of moving to New York, I can make a difference here. So we see our young people being invested in this region and what we can accomplish. And I see the collaboration. We see New Orleans working with the surrounding parishes. Mayor Moreno has been very specific about saying she believes in collaboration. So she and the other parish presidents have been meeting on a regular basis to try to talk about how can we collaborate to bring in big business as opposed to all of us competing against each other and possibly
Because it
losing
helps-
those opportunities.
It raises all boats.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A rising tide raises all boats.
Well, you are the best cheerleader.
Well, thank you so much. I'm honored to be a cheerleader.
All right, so we're going to go to the official New Orleans questionnaire.
Yes,
Are
I'm
you
excited.
ready? Okay. All right, here's the first one. What is the best poor boy?
Best po' boy, Vukerson's, hot sausage, po' boy, Jazz Fest.
We had Vance on the show.
You gotta be kidding.
But a couple of weeks ago, and the only thing I failed to do was ask him to bring a sample. All right.
Okay.
All right, so you have an opportunity to see one New Orleans musical artist, dead or alive, in concert. Who would it be, and where would you see that
And they have to be from New Orleans, though.
New Orleans musical artist?
Okay, I just saw the show that Trombone Shorty has at the Sanger, first weekend of Jazz Fest. It was his birthday show. I think he turned 40. That show is amazing because he brings in everybody.
So you would do that again?
Absolutely. He had Mavis Staples. He had Jill Scott. He had Kermit Ruffin open for him. It was an amazing production. Love it, love it, love it.
All right.
I'm all in. But Juvenile is a close second.
Okay.
Juvenile and Manny Fresh, close second.
You can have 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
There. All right. What is your favorite New Orleans smell?
Oh, wow. Ooh, smell?
Uh-huh.
Dude, I don't know. I'm sure some type of indigenous flower or plant.
Okay.
Because New Orleans smells can kind of go off the rail a minute, Mark. So I'm not sure how to answer that one.
We've had some really interesting answers to this question.
Okay,
yeah.
you threw me off on that one.
But I would go with, like, you're thinking about like camellia
Yes,
or
yes, yes.
all
That
right.
works for me.
All right, very good.
That works for me.
All right, Mardi Gras or Jazz Fest?
Jazz Fest, Jazz Fest, Jazz Fest.
All right, gotcha. What is your Saints Mount Rushmore look like? Who's on that Mount Rushmore for the Saints?
Oh, wow. I mean, all these guys. I mean, Deuce, Drew Brees, Kamara. I mean, Cam Jordan, the current crop, going back. Obviously, you have to go back to people like, Archie Manning before
That's all right.
We got them there.
You've got a nice looking Mount Rushmore
Yeah,
there.
Willie Rofe.
Yeah.
All these guys.
It can be a huge mountain.
Exactly. And these guys just gave it their all. They're so committed to the city and so committed to the Saints.
All right. Chicken or seafood gumbo?
Seafood all day, every day. We live in New Orleans, Mark.
All right. Yes, ma'am. All right.
Yes, seafood.
What is your favorite New Orleans movie or TV series?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I guess probably Treme from a TV series standpoint, particularly, coming on the heels of Katrina.
Yeah.
And we had so many amazing actors from New Orleans in that. So I guess probably Treme. And I have to give shout out to my schoolmate from Ben Franklin, Wendell Pierce. Brilliant.
Very good.
New Orleans actor.
Very good. All right, here's one. Neutral ground or sidewalk side?
Neutral ground.
Okay.
Got to hang with the neutral ground.
All right. What's your earliest memory of visiting the French Quarter?
I know my earliest memory of visiting the French Quarter. As I said, my father was a postal clerk and he worked at the main post office. And he remember the old Woolworths?
Oh, yeah.
He used to get
Canal Street.
Yes, the hot donuts from the old Woolworths. Remember, I'm almost 64.
Oh, wow.
And he would bring us into the quarter. I used to shop with my mom. Remember when there was Krause's? Remember when there was D.H. Holmes on Canal Street, Maison Blanche?
Oh, yeah.
We used to get dressed up to shop back then, Mark. So I had my little purse, my little patent leather purse, and my little gloves, and a cute little dress. So those are great memories of being with my parents and being able to experience this city.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Dead or alive, who is the one person you'd like to take to lunch, and where would you take them in New Orleans?
Now, the person doesn't have to be from New Orleans.
It doesn't have to be from New Orleans, and it can be a live person or a person who's passed, but we'd want you to take them to New Orleans restaurant. Where would you take them? Who would it be, and where would you take them?
Okay, this is probably based on the fact that I recently took a trip to South Africa, which was transformative to me. And the person I always wanted to meet was President Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
So if I had had the opportunity to know President Mandela when he was alive, I would take him to Dookie Chase Restaurant.
Oh, okay. That would be special.
That would be
So
extremely special.
All right.
And he would have loved it.
Yeah. What is your favorite New Orleans song? It's either a song about New Orleans or a song by a New Orleans artist.
My favorite New Orleans song it's more from a New Orleans artist. It is Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World. Doesn't get any better than that. My dad, whenever we would go to Commander's Palace or any of the other local restaurants for brunch when my parents were alive, he would always ask the jazz trio to play that.
Play that. Beautiful.
That's special.
What is the one New Orleans food item you cannot live without?
Oysters.
All right.
All day, every day. And red beans, which I'm going to have tonight.
All right, but tell me, your oysters are raw? Are they baked? Are they broiled?
All of the above.
Okay.
I had raw oysters Saturday for lunch. I love charbroiled oysters from Drago's and Neo's. And I love a phenomenal fried oyster po' boy, but the oysters have to be fried hard. Great French bread, buttered, pickles, hot sauce. Doesn't get any better,
You're
Mark.
making me so hungry.
Doesn't get any. Oh, I had a great oyster po' boy during Jazz Fest. It was amazing.
Oh, wow. All right, here's your last one.
Okay.
In 5 words or less, why do you love New Orleans?
The people make us who we are.
Beautiful. Thank you. Kim, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
My
This was
thanks
wonderful.
to you, Chair of Greater New Orleans, Inc., and an attorney with Phelps Dunbar doing great work for not only New Orleans, but for the region. And with your enthusiasm, we just have everywhere to go now. This is terrific.
Thank you, Mark, for having us. You've always been a cheerleader, and you've always supported everything going on in this city. So thank you, my friend.
Well, you're most welcome. You know, the people that you work with and the partnerships that you've created and the momentum that you're bringing to Greater New Orleans, Inc. in the region is something that we should all be very thankful for. So have
Thank
a great
you so
day.
much. I will try my best on a
We'll
Monday.
see you soon. Yes.
Absolutely. Would
All
love
right.
to come back.
Thank you so very much. Kim Boyle, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, we'll be right back with more of the Mark Romig Show. Still ahead on the Mark Romig Show, we'll sit down with Ashley Hansen for On the Table, sponsored by Blue Runner Foods, as we talk about New Orleans snowballs and a family legacy. Then on Move the Chains, Mike Detillier joins us to break down the latest Saints off-season storylines and what fans should be watching as we get closer to football season. And in 5 Minutes With, presented by New Orleans & Company, we're joined by Stephen Watson, the president and CEO of the National World War II Museum, to talk Memorial Day, D-Day, and preserving the stories of the greatest generation. Stay with us. There's more to come on the Mark Romig Show. Move the Chains! All right, it is time for Move the Chains. And when it comes to the NFL draft, the Saints, LSU football, few people know it better than this guest. He's legendary. He's got a scouting voice, NFL analyst, and a familiar face and voice to sports fans across Louisiana. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mike Detillier.
Thank you, Mark. Pleasure to be here.
I
The
have
voice
listened-
gives me away,
And
no matter where I go.
I have listened to you on the radio for so many years, and I always feel smarter after I hear your voice.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, let's start with the big picture. After looking at the Saints' entire draft class, what's your biggest takeaway?
What I do is I look at the whole picture with it, not only draft, but also free agency. It's the old Ronald Reagan line from 1980, but you condense it. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? Are you, for the Saints, are you better off today than you were at the end of the season? Mm-hmm. And the answer is yes, you better off. And you have built around what you think is going to be your premier quarterback. And, you know, you take them by picking up Travis Etienne, who I covered in high school.
Wow.
David Edwards, who's a really good offensive guard. Ty Chandler, who will help you. Backup running back, return game. Noah Fant at tight end. So many of these, 13 personnel now today, 3 tight ends. And then you pick up Jordan Tyson, Oscar Delp. You better off today. Now, how quickly you can assimilate all that together is the key, and that's the key in free agency, not only in pro sports, also in college athletics. You're better off today, and you think about Ryan Wright coming in at punter. That was an issue with this team. You pick up Barrion Brown. He returned 6 returns in college for touchdowns. That is a huge part of this game, setting up field position. And when you traded Rashid Shaheed, you knew you were going to lose that element. Defensively is where the question marks come in. I think Caden Ellis is a really good player. Is he as good as Demario Davis? No. But it's the locker room presence, the leadership. Yeah. And Alontae Taylor. I think that's the big question mark at that star position inside in the slot. But are you better off overall today? You better believe it.
Was there one particular pick where you thought, that's a classic Saints move, whether by fit or value or the need that we had?
Second round, Christian Miller. Because I have seen him from his high school days all the way through college. And he was always used as a run stuffer. But he's a really good athlete and can blow up the launch pad of a quarterback. Now, I think that's crucial in this league to get pressure from inside. Love the Christian Miller pick. And I think Oscar Delp, his roommate or teammate at Georgia, he'll end up being a better pro player than he was a college player at Georgia at tight end. And now with 3 tight ends, that's the vogue thing now in the NFL. Sean McVay did it in L.A. because he had to. All my receivers got hurt. Got 3 big tight ends. Then you can't substitute on me. If you get small, then I'll mash you. I'll run the football. But then I got 3 tight ends that are 6'4" plus. Match up with that.
Yeah.
And so everybody wants to do it.
Every draft has a surprise or two. Was there one that surprised you?
For the Saints? Mm-hmm. I was surprised that Lance from North Dakota State lasted as long as he did. Tall, linear receiver.
Yeah.
Average over 21 yards a catch. And you're like, whoa, big play guy there. And so he was the surprise. But this draft's always going to be looked at with the first round pick. And the question mark was not Jordan Tyson's talent. It was the injuries with him. Had he been healthy, he would have been the 4th pick, and Cornell Tate would have likely been there when the Saints selected. But because of the injuries, I think and it does even for me, doing this all these years, there's always a question mark. And I've talked to Dean Kleinsmith, always tells me, Mike, I'm the guy who flunked Thurman Thomas from being a New Orleans Saint. Coach Mora and Jim Finks wanted him. And they were like, Dean, you got to pass him. Physical, he said, he flunked the physical. His knee is too loose. He heard it in a pickup basketball game at Oklahoma State. He's like, he didn't miss a lot of time in the NFL. So sometimes the medicals don't always work out that way. Thurman Thomas is in Pro Football's Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping the best for Jordan Tyson.
Yes,
There's a
because
lot
he
of
is
excitement that he brings.
immensely gifted, Mark.
You know, we're always focusing on the draft picks, but sometimes the undrafted free agents end up sticking. Is there a name Saints fans should start paying attention to?
Had he not had some off-the-field issues, and he had foot surgery right at the combine, is Xavier Harris, the big defensive tackle from Ole Miss. And a lot of human beings that are 6'7" and 3/4", 320 pounds, think he's got an 86-inch wingspan.
Wow.
So he can play the run. He's got to get better technically, and I think if he's mature, there's a spot for him on this football team. On offense, C.J. Donaldson from Ohio State, he's a big thumper back. I watched him at West Virginia, and he transferred. So when it was 3rd and 1, they gave it to Donaldson. He gets 3 yards. They get in the red zone. He led Ohio State and scored touchdowns last year rushing. I think that's a spot for him on this football team.
So you believe we've addressed the biggest weaknesses for the most part?
I would still like to get one. I want Cam Jordan back on this football team because I think you have not going to replace his production and his leadership. Secondly, the slot corner is something of a concern for me, that I would like to get a guy who's versatile, that could play corner, could play the nickel, could play safety. That would be the one area that I would really like to upgrade still.
Yeah. All right, so we get through camp, starting the season. What's the storyline going into the season for the Saints?
Easy. Development of Tyler Shough. Because doing this all these years, sometimes you have the Drake May syndrome. Second year, everything works out. And there's a lot of similarities between Drake May physically and Tyler Shough physically. But he had good guys around him.
Yeah.
And, man, they caught lightning in a bottle last year. That won't happen this year. Way too many distractions off the field. But I flip it, Jaden Daniels was great in year one. Everybody got a good look at him. Even before the injuries, he wasn't the guy that we saw in year one. His development is the key to this football team. There is no question about it, because you can see the immense talent. He's a leader. He can handle everything around the vortex of the tornado that comes with playing quarterback. And I think that's going to be the key this year. The second thing I would throw out is, in the last 3 years, this football team has been 10 wins, 15 losses at home. That has to change. You have to get back that dome field advantage and winning at home. You can't win 40% of your games at home and expect that you can make a playoff run.
Yeah.
So I think Shough's development, winning at home, getting the fans pumped up. That little word, they got it now.
Yeah.
I hear it everywhere I go. Hope. Because Tyler Shough, because they haven't seen nothing like that. You know, the plan didn't work when Drew Brees left.
Yeah.
Didn't work, but it might now. It
Yeah,
might.
We sense that enthusiasm.
Yes,
I mean,
no
with
question.
Everyone that we're speaking with. All right, let's switch over to LSU football. Coach Lane Kiffin, how you feeling?
Well, they spent over $40 million in the portal, so it better work. And he got a nice contract. He is used of the NIL portal world because he jumped in it before most coaches did. Yeah. He was not knee deep. He was thigh deep in it. I mean, he was way up in it. I have not seen a run like LSU. I was way too young, but I heard my dad and grandfather and uncles talk about what Johnny Vaught did, late 50s into the 60s at Ole Miss. We haven't seen that until Kiffin comes in. And then now what he's got. Sam Levitt is the key on offense. But I think they found a big thumper runner in Dylan Jones from Wisconsin. They got a great football player in Tradez. He ain't a lot of 6'7" tight ends that can run like him. Their offense will be okay. The thing is, can you get a pass rush? Mm-hmm. This is just my feeling from doing this 40 years plus. Nothing wins more games in the fourth quarter than a pass rush. So you go out, you get Francois Human-Milan from Ole Miss, Justin Ross from Tennessee. Sick 'em. Get after the quarterback. And the health of Whit Weeks, who was there already.
Right.
But I think everybody is bullish on LSU that they can get into the 12-team championship run in year one. And you got a coach that is used of everything happening around and dealing with young players. There is no coach in any profession that has used social media like what Lane Kiffin has. He relates to that. See, people like us, we didn't grow up with it, so we don't get it. But if you 15, 17, 19 years old, man, look at Coach for LSU. He's on social media, and he's kind of
I can relate to that. Yeah.
talking trash a little bit to another guy. Yeah, hey, they understand that.
Yeah.
But we didn't because we didn't grow up with that.
Yeah. I know you and Coach O are close, right? How instrumental was he in getting Coach Kiffin to leave Ole Miss, you think?
Had nothing to do with it.
Nothing at all.
Nothing to do with it. That really was a connection. I think the guy that tied the everything together was Nick Saban. Virg Osbury and Nick go back a long way, and I think it was Coach Saban.
Because they had a relationship when Coach Saban was at LSU.
At LSU, and Virg was there
assistant
too.
athletic director, yeah.
And so I think there is no doubt in my mind, had Nick Saban told him don't take the job, he wouldn't have. I think he told him, hey, this is the spot for you. If you're going to move, this is the place. And you know, when you have the blessing of the governor of the state of Louisiana, that does help you too.
Sure. So with the transfer portal, do you think the Tigers have addressed their needs, or is there still somebody out there that they really
I
need
always
to get?
think like a coach. I always would want another defensive lineman, another cover guy.
Yeah.
I just maybe because I got coaches in my family and I've done this for so long that I always look at that. But I think for the most part, he's addressed a lot. The thing is continuity, how quickly this comes together. And I will say this, in doing this for a long period of time, if they beat Clemson and win game 2 and Ole Miss beats Louisville and wins game 2, that third week of the season, you would have to basically put your house up for sale to get tickets to that game of LSU Ole Miss, and you better have security.
And where are they playing that game?
And they playing it in his old place. So, Deuce has the line about, he came on with me one day. He's like, Mike, I got something to say before you ask me something. I was like, give it to me, Deuce. He said, I have no tickets, no condo, so no one asked me about LSU Ole Miss.
And you're not even going to be able to put a tent somewhere in Oxford at that point.
Yeah, and it's going to be game day. It is going to be a crazy atmosphere. And you think later in the year, everybody talks about LSU Alabama and LSU Texas. They do play Tennessee. The last time Lane went over there, man, they had golf balls and mustard bottles thrown at him. So that ought to be quite an adventure, too.
All right, speaking of prognostications, how do you see the Saints and LSU this year?
I think LSU's a 9-win football team. And I think they can maybe squeeze in.
Yeah.
For the Saints, Vegas had it at 6.5. It went to 7. It's on the verge of 7.5. I think this team will either be a 8-9 team or a 9-8 team. And I think
And with the NFC South as it
you
is.
hitting the tape all at the same time. The Panthers, the Bucks, Saints. I'm really not sure what the Falcons are doing in trying to piece something together. And I do know one thing. Tua Tagovailoa is going to be their starting quarterback. It's not going to be Michael Penix. It's going to be Tua. They didn't bring him there to hold a clipboard, and give advice. He's there to be the starter. So I think they all hit the tape at the same time. Those games late and how it's set up. And if I'm the networks, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to have that Saints, Carolina, Saints Tampa, Saints Atlanta down the stretch. 3 out of the last 4 games.
NFC South is going to be in play.
Yeah, and hopefully, I think the X factor for the Saints too is, I'll throw this out, is the health of Eric McCoy. Because for 2 years, he's been down for a huge portion of both seasons. This team is much better up front with Eric McCoy. He's one of the top 3 to 4 centers in the entire National Football League. And with a young quarterback, I take over making the calls up front, especially when they blitz me inside, and I can pick that up. I can relay that to the 2 guards, the 2 tackles, the tight ends. I can relay all that. His health is a huge factor in the Saints this year. He plays 17 games. I would say they're a 9-win team. That's how important he is and how good he is for the Saints.
Yeah, exciting. Tell us what your summer's going to be like.
Other than doing 3 camps, that's local where I live at, Manning Passing Academy, Louisiana Line Camp with 84-year-old Pete Jenkins running the camp. And then Dr. David Elias with Arthur LA, he has the Pro Football Combine, all at Nicholls State University. So that'll be a big part of my summer, along with doing sports talk virtually daily. I say virtually daily.
Virtually daily.
Yeah. I'm better than Hebert. I show up Monday through Thursday. He takes time off. You got to calm his nerves for the football season.
Y'all are great partners.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we enjoy doing it, and we got stories.
Yes.
Most of them we can't tell on the air, but we got stories.
You guys got good stories. Have both of y'all on the show one day when schedules work.
Yeah, and I might get a word or 2 in when he slows down. He's like the record. Eventually it stops.
Well, listen, we look forward to everything that you're bringing to the game, and just it helps us understand the game so much better.
Well, I appreciate
it's
that.
Saints
Thank
or
you, Mark.
LSU, and have a great summer, and let's get those wins.
Let's get it, because people are so much happier when the Saints and LSU and now, Tulane fans too. I mean, because you went through that run with Coach Summerall, and now it's like, oh, he's in Florida now. But if I take up, my vehicle to go to Mississippi on Mondays, I can tell if the Saints LSU win, because if they don't win, nobody comes up to me, Mike, man, what? But if they win, oh, man, you saw what Tyler Shuck did? Man, LSU got to get rid of the coach.
Mondays are always sweeter.
Oh, much, much better. And Diliberto used to always tell me, buddy used to always say, Mike, I'm going to tell you something about losing. It gets people all riled up, so we get a lot more callers that way. But you enjoy doing sports talk when they win, not when they lose.
Exactly. Well, thanks for being with us,
Thank you,
Mike.
Mark. Appreciate it.
Okay, y'all, it's time for On the Table, sponsored by Blue Runner Foods. And with summer now upon us, Today we're going to cool things down, as you can see in front of me here, with one of New Orleans' most iconic sweet treats. Hansen's Sno-Bliz has been serving up these legendary snowballs for generations. And today we're joined by Ashley Hansen. Thank you, Ashley, to talk flavors, family, and New Orleans tradition. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
And you brought product.
I brought some cold treats.
This is fantastic.
Air conditioning for your tummy.
Yes, I can't wait to get into it, as the crew will want to get into it as well. For people who may not realize it, there is a big difference between a snow cone and a snowball.
Right.
Talk
we
to us
we get
about
this
that.
question a lot at the stand. And it's mostly people from out of town will say, I'd like a snow cone. And we immediately know to ask, where are you from? And we explain that what we do is very different here in New Orleans. We finely shave the ice to these like high quality standards of fluffiness. And then we drench the snow with simple syrup of all kinds. And so I think really the difference between a snow cone and a snowball is a fluffy confection made with sugar, water, ice, and love. And then a snow cone you can just buy anywhere
Yes.
else. in
I'm
America.
getting closer and closer to these 6 beautiful products here. Y'all are an iconic New Orleans institution. You're carrying on a family tradition. Talk to us about that tradition, how it got started, and your role.
So the snowball stand is 87 years old. My grandfather made the first electric ice shaving machine in 1934. He made his first prototype. It's made of wood on the inside and wrapped in sheet metal. And if you put on a motor on it today, it would probably still run. Once he assembled this contraption and they figured out that it was going to work really well, he's set to build the one that we use today. That's on the counter, and the machine that we use today is 87 years old.
Oh, wow. So you're carrying on the tradition now.
Yes, I grew up in the snowball stand. I've been making snowballs every summer since I was 15, and I got to know my grandparents very well working with them, and they were everything to me.
Yeah, you know, what's so important, too, is detail in any successful operation, and y'all really pay attention to details. I mean, your legendary syrups, right? That's so unique. What is that process like, the creativity around it?
Well, it's a group project. It's a group effort. I am nothing without my team at the snowball stand. I count on them, and we have an understanding of the hard work that it takes to produce a delicious snowball. And everyone at the stand feels the same way. We're all obsessed with the quality of the snow or what this would taste like with this. And not to mention customer service is super important. So we try to give 5-star customer service at even just our cinder block building on Chapatula Street, just like my grandparents would have done.
Yes. You pass it, and there's always a line. But the line moves fast.
Sometimes.
How many flavors?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot of colors.
Over 50, maybe 90. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a flavor, I can tell you, there's a flavor for every taste.
Yes.
Truly, there's a flavor for every
Yes.
taste.
Well,
All right.
I think that also reflects the diverse and dynamic community that we serve.
Yeah.
We have such a range of customers, old, new, young, that it's just fun to meet the customer where they are at the counter. And I know that sounds hokey, but to ask them what they like, that's where it all begins.
Right.
They're like, well, what's the best? And we always say, well, the best is what you like.
Well,
And then we go from there.
Yeah, if someone's visiting New Orleans for the very first time and they're now on Chapatula Street, they're in front of your legendary establishment, and they're only going to get one snowball, one Hansen snowball. Do you advise them, or is it more of like, what's your flavor palette and what color do you like? Or is there like, you gotta get the strawberry?
No, I try to describe certain aspects of our menu because it's overwhelming. You walk in and there's, I don't know the last time you've been there, but there's stuff everywhere. And so a lot of customers walk in and they're like, help me.
Where do I start?
Yeah, how do I order? Like, where do I begin? And so usually we start by describing some of the flavors and intuitively talk to them about what they like.
Got it.
And so like you have hard candy sweet flavors like the wild cherries and the lifesaver style flavors. And then you have like the tart flavors that are super sour like lemonade and satsuma, limeade. And then you have the freshly juiced or steeped flavors like passion fruit, watermelon, honey lavender, hibiscus, and so on. And then you have what my grandmother really loved are our cream flavors. And that's like going to be your more traditional cream of nectar. You know, what it means to be New Orleans is like to have a cream of nectar snowball with condensed milk. And so a lot of times I just start there. Like if customers try to order banana, and they're from San Francisco or someplace, I'm like, maybe not banana. Like, what do you think about, how would you feel about this?
Yeah.
Or,
do visitors order differently than citizens, locals?
I think locals have a more discerning palate. Like, they are willing to try something different, something more unique, more refreshing. I feel like visitors are
not as adventurous.
Not as adventurous, but some are.
Yeah. Why do you think snowballs have such a deep connection to New Orleans?
Well, I think snowballs it hits the spot when the temperatures start rising.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing like something cold to sip on or eat, and it really does bring your body temperature down. Like almost like jumping into a pool, you know, like diving into a pool is how I feel about having a snowball in August.
Yeah.
My grandfather would say it's air conditioning for your tummy.
What's something about Hansen's that surprises people the first time they walk in?
I think a lot of people say, God, you didn't change anything. And so you can really feel like the history in the past, and it harkens back to a simpler time, you know, where
less complicated.
It's flip-flops and stickiness, and you know, it's just nice. It's New Orleans.
Now you brought some of your snowballs here.
Yes.
Can you walk through what you have here?
So this is ginger cayenne.
Ginger cayenne.
It's made with freshly juiced ginger, some lemon to make it zing, and a little bit of spiciness because in New Orleans you're going to add like Tabasco or cayenne or alcohol to just about anything, you know. And then cream of ice cream, cream of nectar. Because those are traditional. And then passion fruit satsuma, which is one of my favorites. And then freshly juiced watermelon. And then pandan and coconut milk.
Wow. Beautiful. Works of art, each one.
They taste even better than they look.
Final question. If Ashley Hansen was building the perfect snowball from scratch, what's going to go in that cup?
Okay. So I've thought about this, and I've experienced it, and I've lived to tell the tale. So you first start with passion fruit and satsuma.
Okay.
And then you layer in ice cream, and then more satsuma, more passion fruit, more snow. And then on top you add condensed milk, crushed pineapple, marshmallow, and a cherry.
Wow.
And you have to dig really deep to get a bunch of all those flavors.
Yeah.
But to me, that would be like the epitome of an Ashley Hansen snowball.
That's the Ashley Hansen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Work
It's
of
like
art.
funky and delicious and tart and New Orleans-y and yum.
All right. Well, tell the viewers, if you would, your hours of operation, address and any special surprises this summer?
Let's see. We're closed on Mondays.
Okay.
We open at noon. We close at 6. And
And you're located on Chapatulas?
we're located at 4801 Chapatula Street.
4801 on the corner.
Yes.
All right.
Corner of Bordeaux.
Very good.
Bordeaux and Chapatula.
And the surprise will be when it hits your palate, surprise of joy.
I don't know if we have any surprises coming up.
I'll just say it's a surprise of joy. You bring joy to so many people
Thank you.
and so many visitors. You know, New Orleans and Company has a number of media that come in and out of town, and it seems like they're always bringing them through and just seeing that operation.
We love, we love New Orleans. You know, like, this is home. It's the best place on earth. There's no place I'd rather be. And you know what really makes up, the people is what makes up New Orleans.
Yeah.
And so at the Snowball stand, greeting everyone, and like, to me, that's just, you have to taste our culture, but you have to like shake hands with our culture. You have to like get into the city and meet people, and and I think that's what New Orleans is different than any other
Yeah,
place.
so well put.
And that's why the Snowball stand is different.
Thank you.
Because we talk to people.
Yeah. Well, we thank you, and we thank everyone.
Does that make
And
sense?
It does make
Okay.
sense, and it's beautiful in the way and you create influencers and ambassadors who go around the world talking about their experiences in New Orleans, and it starts sometimes with a snowball.
Right. It's the ripple effect.
That's
right.
right.
Like, you make a snowball, you make someone smile, and then they make someone smile.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here on the table, sponsored by Blue Runner Foods, and the fact that Hansen Sno-Bliz brings joy to so many people, so many days.
Thank you so much.
thank you greatly.
And thanks to Blue Runner.
Yes, well, and thank you for bringing snowballs for me and the crew. So we will jump into those as soon as we take a break. Thanks, Ashley.
Cheers.
All right, y'all, it's now time for 5 Minutes With, and this is presented by New Orleans and Company. As Memorial Day approaches and the anniversary, of course, of D-Day nears, it's an important time to reflect on the stories, sacrifices, and history that helped shape our nation. And a few places preserve that around the country, but no one does it better than the National World War II Museum right here in New Orleans. And joining us today is Stephen Watson, President and CEO of the museum. Stephen, it's great to be with you.
Great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much. It's a very important time in history for us to reflect. But for those who don't know the full story of the National World War II Museum and how it came about and how it became probably one of the most important museums across the board in the country, give us a little background on that.
So, short version of the story is two history professors that you knew well, Dr. Stephen Ambrose and Dr. Nick Mueller,
Right.
Leaders at the University of New Orleans, had an idea one afternoon in 1989 that there needed to be a place in this country to remember and honor the World War II generation. Originally focused on D-Day, I think for two reasons. One, that was the focus of Dr. Ambrose's work, his research, his oral histories, and importantly, the second reason was an entrepreneur and a boat builder from New Orleans called Andrew Higgins, who built 20,000 landing craft in various sites around New Orleans. One of the key innovations of World War II, Ike, who was the supreme commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force, said, the reason we won the war. So that's how we got started. And I think over the course of 11 years, a lot of ups and downs, the D-Day Museum opens, and I think almost immediately the public, the veteran community, government leaders, donors, our board said, you cannot stop with D-Day. You must go on and tell the whole story of this epic war that literally changed the world. Yeah. So for 25 years now, or almost 26 years, that's what we have been doing. And the campus that exists today is largely the vision that was laid out over 20 years ago when we decided to go from being the D-Day Museum to the National World War II Museum.
There was a moment, though, when Congress actually delineated this museum as the national. What was that moment like?
Huge moment, and a lot of credit to our local delegation and two World War II veterans that were serving in Congress, Ted Stevens from Alaska and Daniel Inouye from Hawaii, Medal of Honor recipient. They wanted to help, and they knew that they needed to send a message to the rest of the country that this was the place to tell the story of America's involvement in World War II. So in 2004, with the help of many members of Congress, they helped pass an act of Congress designating us as America's National World War II Museum. Critically important. You can imagine traveling to California, New York, even Texas, they think, why is this museum in New Orleans being able to have that congressional designation as we built a national board, raised money across the country, was hugely, hugely important right at the beginning of this expansion.
Yeah. Somebody who visits could take several days, actually, to go through all the exhibits. There's one that always gets people talking among so many other ones, and that's the Beyond All Boundaries.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that film and who's behind it. And recently, it just went through a renovation of the film itself.
I think technically we're calling it a remastering. We had a meeting about
Yes,
that. That was the word.
That's the word you used?
Yeah.
I sat through the one of the first showings of the remastered version. It is unbelievable.
It's spectacular. And look, I give a lot of credit to Nick Mueller. He wanted there to be a big wow show as part of this expansion. And he first approached Steven Spielberg. Actually, I think 60th anniversary of D-Day, 2004, in Normandy, he had a conversation with Spielberg about this. And Spielberg told him, you need to go talk to Phil Hedema. Phil was the creative genius at Universal Studios for many years, had started his own company. And Nick got in touch with Phil, and the two of them and many others over a 5-year period brought to life what is still, 17 years later after it opened, one of the great multimedia museum experiences of any kind in the world. And yes, we have given it new life through its remastering, from the basic things like new seats and new carpet to new CGI animation, new speakers, new sound system, new rigging. It's amazing. It really, truly is amazing. And what it does is, in an hour, if you don't have a lot of time, it gives you the big picture, the big story of World War II.
Yeah, from start to finish, and then the promise of what the meaning of if there's a meaning to war, what it leaves you with.
That's right.
What's the next steps?
That's right.
We say Happy Memorial Day a lot, but at its heart, it's really a solemn day of remembrance.
It is.
We're coming around to that just past it, actually. What do you hope people think about when they think about Memorial Day?
I say it's the most important day of the year at the museum. 414,000 Americans were killed during World War II. There are still 70,000 World War II veterans missing in action. I mean, to me, it gets to the essence and the meaning of our mission at the museum. We often thank veterans for their service on Veterans Day, but Memorial Day is a day dedicated to those who gave their life protecting the freedoms and the democracy that we all enjoy today. And I think that is at the core of who we are and what we represent. And I think our Liberation Pavilion, which was the last permanent exhibition to open 3 years ago, I think starts by giving the visitor a sense of the cost of our victory. We want you to understand why we fought the war, how we won it, and I think liberation gets to why that should matter. And part of the reason, and a big part of the reason why it should matter, is that our victory and the freedom was hard won, and 414,000 Americans lost their lives. So Memorial Day is a day to really reflect on that, and I think another important aspect of that is acknowledging the families who lost loved ones, the Gold Star families who every day feel the burden and the weight of the sacrifice that one of their loved ones made. So it's a heavy, important day, and it's always wonderful to see the many thousands of people that come to the museum that day to pay their respects.
Yeah, it's a lot of people think it's a weekend of quote celebration, but it really needs to be a weekend of remembrance.
That's right.
And speaking of remembering, D-Day's coming up, the anniversary of D-Day, June 6th. What does that story still mean to you? And here we are, 80 plus years since. How does it resonate?
It's the most important day in the 20th century, in my opinion. The pivotal moment in the war. Just a huge, epic day, a huge, epic battle, turned the tide of the war in Europe. And I think for generations to come will be an event and an action that we reflect on. So yes, it's the 82nd anniversary this year. It goes back to why we are here in New Orleans. And I think we actually took the original D-Day exhibit offline earlier this winter and are working right now to bring that back to life next year, maybe even on D-Day, we'll see.
And that's in the original Louisiana Pavilion.
In the original Louisiana
museum building.
That's right, in the same location, literally, bringing it back to life from the ground up. So it is a huge part of the World War II story, the pivotal battle in Europe, and I think the complexity of it, what was at stake, will always continue to have resonance.
Yeah, you have many of the greatest generation's voices have come through the museum. We're losing those great voices. That's an urgent mission to keep their memories alive. What are you doing to do that?
Yeah, I think there were 16.1 million men and women that served. We have maybe 30,000 World War II veterans alive at this point. I think it makes our job and our mission even more important. We're the storyteller as we move forward. And we've spent 25 years building this museum, importantly collecting 12,500 of their oral histories so that their voices will always be heard. One of our relatively new exhibits I'm very proud of is Voices from the Front, that in the midst of the pandemic, when no one was traveling, we found a way to get 16 members of the greatest generation to California in a custom-built studio, sat each of them down for 3 days, asked them 1,800 questions. Now, I don't think I could answer 1,800 questions, but these were men and women at 100 years old, plus or minus.
Wow.
And you can come to the museum today, and you can select one of those 16 individuals. One of them is Woody Williams, who was the last surviving Medal of Honor recipient from the war. And you will see Woody sitting in a chair much like this, and you can ask Woody a question, and he will answer you in his own words. So it's one thing that we will have at the museum that will allow our visitors, long after we're gone, to continue to have dialogue with World War II veterans, but preserving their voices, preserving their story, and making sure that as they pass, the war continues to be in the public consciousness is a huge part of the responsibility that we have.
And the gift also to their family members.
Yes.
Their grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Yeah, I was actually, a funny story in a way, the grandson of Woody Williams came to the museum about 6 months after we opened that exhibit. And his first question to his grandfather was, "Who was your favorite grandson?" He didn't get the answer he wanted, but
we've tried that
but he
question
chuckled.
on this show before. With my mother. She would not give me the answer to her favorite child.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing opportunity for people to directly touch the people who made the America what it is.
That's right. That's right.
Speaking of America, we're coming on our 250th anniversary. The National World War II Museum is a bulwark of freedom. If you would reflect on that anniversary coming up and how the museum stands as a part of that.
Well, sure. I think if you think over the course of the last 250 years, there have been moments when our democracy and our freedom and our way of life have been tested. And I think that World War II is one of those moments that brought out the best in us. And, there's a saying that Stephen Ambrose used to talk about, we're all in this together. So I think World War II, over the last 250 years, in our country and in the world, was one of those moments where freedom prevailed and democracy prevailed. And I think it's going to be great to have Sail 250 here in the next week or two, and we've got a couple of things we're doing as part of that. And we've had a couple of programs over the last year, one with Rick Atkinson, who did a wonderful presentation. Yeah, it's an important moment for our country.
Yeah, I think as people come to celebrate our freedom in America 250 and also commemorate Memorial Day this weekend, they're going to visit the museum. What's the one thing you want them to leave with? What's that message, the most important message for people to leave when they leave the museum?
That we have the privilege of living in a great country. We have the privilege of being participants in democracy and enjoying freedom, and that that freedom has been hard fought and earned. And put your phone in your pocket, come spend a day at the museum, and I think you'll be inspired by what we as Americans have achieved, the importance of it, and I think reflect on that and think about it through the lens of your own life, through your family that perhaps served, and I think you will leave feeling inspired and encouraged and hopeful for the future.
Thank you for that. The museum has been very fortunate to have a number of sponsors, contributors. I think about Boise Bollinger and what he's done with his philanthropy, creating a beautiful canopy.
Yes.
Can you give a little background on how that came about?
Yeah, so we have been blessed with so many supporters. In fact, the other day we're in a meeting and we've had almost 900,000 people support this museum over the last 26 years. But Boise's at the top of the list. When we did the architectural design competition to go from being the D-Day Museum to the World War II Museum, some of the greatest architects in the world participated. All of them, bar one, designed one big building to house the entire campus. Bart Vorsanger, our architect who ultimately we picked, came down, met with Nick and Boise and a few others, and I think had the sense that these well-intentioned folks from New Orleans may not be able to raise all the money in one phase, so he designed a campus that was going to be a series of pavilions interconnected by bridges, and he believed that there needed to be some open space, a parade ground, a military-style parade ground, and that the significance of our mission and the importance of the museum was such that it needed an iconic element, something to give the campus a visual identity, and that was the canopy. And there was a lot of debate and discussion about that over the years. When you're raising money for education programs and exhibits, can you really justify an architectural element? That discussion ended when, in a board meeting, Boise said, well, I'm going to pay for it. It's part of the design that we signed up for. It's part of this campus master plan. This is what we believed in. And I think it is. I think it's a crucial and important part of the campus, and we're grateful for Boise's support of that and so many other things that he's done over the years as well.
Yeah, it's become an architectural masterpiece as people look at the skyline of the city. It's absolutely beautiful, as is the entire campus. And the Higgins Hotel, the addition of the hotel across the street on Magazine Street has been huge, a major piece of it.
Yeah, we fill about 85% of our visitors come from out of state. And about half of those out-of-state visitors are coming to New Orleans with the museum as their primary reason for visiting. So by our math, that's 1,200 hotel rooms every single night are being filled in New Orleans by the museum. So, and as the campus has grown, multi-day visits are, much, much more than they used to be.
Like I said earlier, a couple of days at least.
At least. Our educational programs, our groups, our military training programs that we host there. So the Higgins has become everything that we hoped it would be when we decided to push forward with this, and really an integral part of the whole mission in the campus.
Great. Well, congratulations on your stewardship and your leadership, and bright days ahead as we commemorate And remember those that fought for our freedom and how we can learn from them.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us.
Appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Stephen Watson, President and CEO of the National World War II Museum. We'll be back with more of the Mark Romig Show. And now for This Week in New Orleans, we go to April Dupre. April, what's happening?
Thanks so much, Mark. Here's where to eat, drink, and play this week in New Orleans. Memorial Day weekend is here. Time to fire up the barbecue pits or let one of these spots do it for you. If you're looking for some of the best classic barbecue, The Joint in the Bywater, Blue Oak Barbecue in Mid-City, and Central City Barbecue are always good spots to start. Over in New Orleans East, Walker's Barbecue has built a loyal following around its Cochon de lait po' boy, a seasoned festival favorite. And while the po' boy gets most of the attention, the rest of the barbecue menu holds its own too. Over in Gentilly, Cochon King Barbecue is doing all the slow smoked favorites: brisket, ribs, house-made sausage, whole hogs, you name it, they've got it. And if you want something a little more polished without losing the smoke and fire, there's Donald Link's Cochon in the Warehouse District. Their smoked and braised brisket with deviled egg potato salads is the truth. Bottom line, this is not the weekend for a sad hot dog. Go get the real thing. This week, we're chasing cold cocktails. Start in the French Quarter at Lafitte's Blacksmith Shop for their legendary Purple Voodoo Daiquiri, or head to Monolito for frozen daiquiris that make for an elevated sipping. For frozen Irish coffees, you can't go wrong with Molly's at the Market or Aaron Rose. They're classics for a reason. And if you want a good patio situation, Wrong Iron and Bayou Bear Garden are built for long summer nights with a frosé in hand. For a really good Paloma, check out Barracuda or Val's. Or if you want something a little fancier, head up to Hot 10 for a second line spritz and one of the best views in the city. The New Orleans Greek Festival returns to Bayou St. John this weekend with live music, Greek dancing, shopping, cathedral tours, and one of the most fun festival atmospheres in the city. Yes, there's great food and drinks, but half of the fun is just wandering around with live music in the background. If you're looking for something a little bit more reflective this Memorial Day weekend, the National World War II Museum is always worth the visit. It's one of the most powerful and well-done museums in the country. And if your perfect holiday weekend involves finding a good spot to relax outside, grab a blanket and head to City Park, The Fly, or along Bayou St. John. For more information on where to eat, drink, and play this week, visit neworleans.com. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, April. And now, something positively New Orleans. In a region shaped by movement of people, culture, and commerce, rail has always been a part of our story. And today, thanks to Amtrak, that story is gaining powerful new momentum for New Orleans and the entire Gulf Coast. The success of the Mardi Gras line between New Orleans and Mobile is far more than a transportation achievement. It is a celebration of connection. With more than 100,000 passengers, which is a record, already riding the line, this service is helping reconnect Gulf Coast communities with new energy, opportunity, and excitement. And what a journey it is. Passengers can step off the train in Bay St. Louis and enjoy its charming old town, art galleries, beaches, and welcoming restaurants. In Gulfport, families can experience beautiful waterfront attractions, shopping, entertainment, and thriving tourism destinations. Biloxi offers world-class hospitality, casinos, seafood, and a deep maritime history. Ocean Springs, known for its creative spirit, local art scene, and coastal beauty. And Pascagoula reflects the hardworking maritime and shipbuilding traditions that have long powered the Gulf Coast economy. And of course, Mobile brings its own incredible history, culture, architecture, and Mardi Gras traditions that connect so naturally with New Orleans. The line is also creating something special for sports fans. During football season, this rail connection gives New Orleans Saints fans across the Gulf Coast an exciting and convenient way to come into New Orleans for a game, to experience the energy of the Caesars Superdome, the restaurants, the music, and the unmatched spirit of Saints football without the stress of highway travel. This success did not happen overnight, though. It came through years of dedication, advocacy, and belief in the future of passenger rail. We salute the hardworking men and women of Amtrak who operate this service every day with professionalism and care. And we especially thank John Spain and the Southern Rail Commission, along with elected leaders, transportation officials, and community advocates who labored tirelessly for years to make this vision a reality. Because this line is about more than trains. It is about economic growth. It is about tourism. It is about regional pride and bringing people together across state lines and communities that share so much history and culture. The Mardi Gras line reminds us that the Gulf Coast is strongest when we are connected, and that every great journey begins by bringing people together. And that's positively New Orleans. That's our show for this week. Thanks to our incredible guests and to all of you for watching and listening. And a special thanks to our sponsors, Blue Runner Foods, New Orleans & Company, our friends at Visit the North Shore, and their podcast, All the Waves. Go check it out. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for all of our new videos. We'll see you next week.